Francis.
Yes.
It's a yes from me. The vote is unanimous. The motion carries. Up next on our agenda under the mayor's report is the proclamation declaring Love's the Answer Day as 9/17/21. I'm gonna ask Chief Paparo to briefly explain what this proclamation means to us prior to us taking the vote.
Good evening, everyone. Back in 2019, I partnered up with AJ Ali. He's from San Diego. He created the movie Walking Black, Love is the Answer. Since that time, we've been involved in numerous events related to that film and the for lack of a better word, the beauty that can come out of the relationships that are built between the police and the community, using that film as a catalyst for training for police officers in the community to talk amongst ourselves. One of the things that came out of that was also the Love Gardens in Yeadon Community Park. We were the first in the nation to do that under this program. If you go to the website, Love is the Answer website, you'll actually see a page that's devoted to Yeadon and what we've done. We've been mentioned in the House of Representatives and so forth. But Love is the Answer Day is an annual event that occurs on September the 17th. If you get a chance, go on Nextdoor Yeadon. I put up a little contest to have kids or whoever's in put together a mural for me, incorporating the Love is the Answer mantra. And one of the things that we can do as a community is we can recognize Love is the Answer as an important day in Yeadon, and I'm asking council to please put that forward tonight.
All right, thank you. And it is my my error that this proclamation does not require a vote because it is a proclamation of the mayor. So we will honor your proclamation. Thank you very much, Chief. Next on the agenda is our president's report. Up for consideration are a few individuals who have interest in joining the library board. We would like to give these individuals an opportunity to address the community at our next caucus meeting. So we will table the voting on these individuals. Our last caucus meeting ran over a bit. So I'm gonna ask management to make sure that they are invited to either submit a statement in their absence or invite them to attend the meeting so we can have an educated vote. The next order of business is our manager's report.
Good evening, everyone. I have a few updates since the last week when I spoke. The previous report be accepted as submitted with these following items handled in announcements. Management and Mrs. Mulvana had a virtual meeting with Ms. Doherty from SEPTA today regarding the trolley modernization. Ms. Doherty stated that the removal of the Chester Avenue and West Cobbs Creek Parkway stop is not definite, but it has a low potential of remaining due to several factors such as ridership, constructability, speed, reliability, and the need to redo the entire intersection for safety reasons. This effort is part of SEPTA's stop consolidation program. SEPTA has the closest stop public transportation company in the country. SEPTA's stops are every 500 feet. The average in the US is over 1,000 feet, and light rail is over 2,000 feet. Another program SEPTA is proceeding with is bus revolution. SEPTA will be explaining these programs to the public in the future, and Ms. Doherty stated there will be a lot of public outreach. Management received notification from the Pennsylvania State Association of Boroughs, PSAB, that Yeadon was awarded first place recognition in the newsletter category and in the website category in communications contest for 7,501 plus population category. The PSAB leadership decided to only award first place honors, so there are no second, third, or honorable mention awards this year. The awards will be presented during the PSAB Fall Leadership Conference in Erie on October 9th during the evening banquet. Any elected official interested in attending must confirm by 9/20. Congratulations and thank you to all of those who make these items the continued success that they have become. Speaking of the newsletter, please be reminded that the newsletter articles are due tomorrow. With Yeadon Education Athletic Association, Yeadon will be receiving $5,000 from Republic Bank towards the outdoor gym at the Yeadon Community Park. This brings the total sponsorship to $64,600, not including the gravesite bench that Holy Cross Cemetery will donate to somebody valued at approximately $3,000. Crozier Hospital informed management that they are unable to participate at this time, but to keep them in mind for future opportunities. Please be advised that the parking will be certified by Delaware County Weights and Measures beginning on September 21st at 10 a.m. through September 24th. Items to be addressed: Mr. Maxey will complete his probationary period as a laborer with the Public Works Department on September 21st. The council packet included an evaluation request for a pay increase from Mr. Wilkinson on Mr. Maxey's behalf. Management recommends hiring Mr. Maxey as a full-time employee effective 9/22, and there is a motion for council's consideration on tonight's agenda. Management is unable to make a recommendation as to whether Mr. Maxey is able to receive a pay increase at this time without legal advice from the solicitor, which I did obtain earlier. And it's my understanding that we would wait until year 2 to be able to do that increase. So if council is considering an increase, management recommends obtaining his legal advice before proceeding. And that concludes my updates.
Thank you very much. Next up is our solicitor's report.
Good evening, everyone. I'm asking for authorization to draft and advertise an ordinance amending the shade tree ordinance.
So move.
Second.
Having been moved and properly seconded, I will proceed with the roll call vote in the order that councilors appear on my screen. Councilor Roadcloud,
Yes. Yes.
Councilor Jones, thank you. Councilor Jones Waters,
Yes.
Councilor McCabe,
Yes.
Councilor Cave,
Yes.
Councilor Johnson,
Yes.
Councilor Francis.
Yes.
That's a yes from me. The vote is unanimous. The motion carries.
Just so council is aware, the goal is to have this ordinance drafted and circulated so that the small committee led by Councilor Johnson can make any edits and we can discuss it in full at the caucus meeting with the hope of option council meeting.
Very good.
Just by Councilor Roadcloud to review a series of ordinances, and Mr. Stokes, I and Councilor Roadcloud are going to embark upon that process. There's also been a request to review and draft an ordinance related to recreational marijuana prohibition. I am going to do some on it, and we'll try to circulate to council what his authority is in this regard for caucus, so we can make a decision on how you all want to handle it. And with that, our report is concluded. Thank you.
I have a question for the solicitor.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Solicitor. Councilor Roadcloud.
Just so I'm clear and I understand perfectly, the draft ordinance is with respect to the sale of recreational marijuana, correct?
So right now, the sale of recreational marijuana is illegal in Pennsylvania, period.
Right.
What our conversation was about was if it became legal, what would happen? So I need to do some research on whether, it's already prohibited. You cannot
Right.
sell recreational marijuana in Pennsylvania, period.
Right.
So we can't prescribe a penalty. But what I'd like to do is, we discussed it today, is to do some research and see whether or not this is a zoning issue. Because I think this is more of a zoning issue than prohibiting the sale of recreational marijuana in its totality.
Right. Okay, I follow you. Okay.
I have a question. Madam President.
Dr. McCabe, yes.
Good evening, Dr. McCabe.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well done.
Good. I don't understand if you make an ordinance prohibiting the sale of recreational marijuana and the state approves it, can we do that?
No, ma'am. So the state, because we are a creation of the state, they would supersede any ordinance that we did.
That's what I thought.
But
So
that's
why
I want to do some research around it. and try to see whether or not there is a potential for a zoning change to prohibit it from certain locations.
I see.
Which, frankly, what they did with the medical marijuana, it says this is a pharmacy. So therefore, it can go any place a pharmacy goes. I have not read in depth the recreational marijuana draft bills in Harrisburg to see how they're structured.
I see. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, just Dr. McCabe, is your question concluded?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Johnson, you're recognized.
I know that there's a difference between medical marijuana and recreational marijuana. But my question stands is, can we do an ordinance where it cannot be put on our main strip? Maybe in an area like the industrial area where it's away from children, it's away from residential homes. Is there anything that we can do in that aspect as to where we, the counselors and the Yeadonites, would prefer to have it away from our community?
Or recreational? Which one are you asking me about?
Both of them.
Okay.
I mean,
So
recreational
currently,
other facilities might want to come to like a smoke shop.
okay. So let me start with the medical marijuana first. Medical marijuana under state law has to be viewed as any other pharmacy. Currently, the zoning code does not allow by right a pharmacy in its industrial area. They're allowed by right in essence, our commercial area. So we could not do an ordinance. We could change the zoning code to allow for a pharmacy in the industrial area. And if you wanted to prohibit one in a commercial area, you would prohibit any other pharmacies too. You can't just say medical marijuana. As it relates to recreational marijuana and smoke shops, there may be some more zoning opportunity for us, but I have not read the recreational marijuana bills in totality to answer that this evening.
That's fine. Maybe we can look into that, Mr. Gibbs. So
Yes, ma'am. That's my goal, and I will report back at the caucus meeting on this.
Very good. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Our tax collector asked that her report be accepted as submitted at caucus. So at this time, we will move on to our engineer's report. Eileen?
Good evening. I have two items for council's consideration tonight. I mentioned last week that there was a sinkhole at Elder and Elberon, and that we had not asked for authorization to do that repair. So I'm asking tonight to authorize the repair of that sinkhole at a cost not to exceed $10,000.
So moved, Madam
So
President.
moved.
Second.
All right, Madam Secretary, have you recorded the motion and second?
Yes, I've caved in, Francis.
All right. I will, having been moved and properly seconded, I'll proceed the roll call vote in the order that councilors appear on my screen. Councilor Rowe-Cloud,
Yes.
Councilor Jones-Waters,
Yes.
Councilor Dr. McCabe,
Yes.
Councilor Cave,
Yep.
Councilor Johnson,
Yes.
Councilor Francis.
Yes.
The yes from me, the vote is unanimous, the motion carries.
Thank you. And the second item, Jeff had reported that there is a sinkhole on Duff Avenue. And there is, I had asked them to have Aqua check their water main, and they said that their water main is fine. They have no leaks. We do not have a sanitary sewer. We do not have a storm sewer. So I am asking council to authorize excavation for discovery purposes, just to see what's under there that would be causing a sinkhole, because there's no apparent reason for the sinkhole. I don't know what it will cost. And in speaking with Miranda, we decided it was probably best to just give you a not to exceed figure. If there's a void under there, I don't know how big it is. I don't know how much material they'll have to place until we can see the extent of it. So tonight, that's what I'm asking for, is authorization to do an excavation on Duff Avenue for discovery purposes at a cost not to exceed $25,000.
So moved. Second.
Second.
Having been moved and properly seconded on the question. Hearing none, I'll proceed with the roll call vote in the order councilors appear on my screen. Councilor Road Cloud,
Yes.
Councilor Jones Waters,
Yes.
Councilor Dr. McCabe,
Yes.
Councilor Cave,
Yes.
Councilor Johnson,
Yes.
Councilor Francis.
Yes.
So yes from me, the vote is unanimous, the motion carries.
Okay, I just wanted to give one update. Next week, there are two inlets on Church Lane that are scheduled to be replaced as part of the project that council approved a while back. And the contractors informed us that he has received the inlets. So there will be some traffic control in place while he does do those installations. So he's expecting to start them next week. We just found out today that they came in. So we'll give something to Miranda to post on the website so that people will be aware. But that should start next week. And then I have the stormwater tip. And it's sediment from construction activities, clouds, waterways, and interferes with the habitat of living things that depend upon those waters. So anyone that does any work, you want to try to keep the dirt that results from that work out of the street because that gets washed down into the inlets and then into the streams. And that's it unless anyone has questions.
Right, thank you very much. Next, we will move on to our finance report.
Hi,
Councilor
Councilor.
Cave.
Hi, Council. I hope everybody's doing well. Council, may I have a motion to consider the accounts payable list?
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
All right, having been moved and seconded, on the question,
Yes, I have two questions.
Councilor Road Cloud.
One question is for some trophies for the mayor's office, an amount of $498. I was not made aware of any type of event that took place that required trophies. So I was curious.
Good evening, councilors. That wasn't, the invoice isn't for trophies. It's from, I think Kelly's Trophies is the place that the mayor ordered some supplies from. If I'm not mistaken, it was for like the proclamation paper and all of that good stuff. They do all that stuff with the seal, the borough seal on it. He just was restocking his supply. It wasn't trophies.
Oh, okay. It does say certificate folders.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. All right, and my second question relates to, it looks like a no-show fee for emergency services training.
I can answer that one.
Oh, okay.
It was a range date that we had, but it was a holiday according to the range. And so we didn't, because we didn't think anybody was there and they still billed us for it and I couldn't get out of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you both.
Well,
Any further question? I'll proceed with the roll call vote. The order that councilors appear on my screen. Councilor Road Cloud,
Yes.
Councilor Jones Waters,
Yes.
Councilor Dr. McCabe,
Yes.
Councilor Cave,
Yes.
Councilor Johnson,
Yes.
Councilor Francis.
Yes.
The yes from me, the vote is unanimous, the motion carries.
And council, may I have a motion to consider the cash balance report?
So moved.
Second.
Having been moved and properly seconded on the question. Hearing none, I'll proceed with the roll call vote in the order that councilors appear on my screen. Councilor Road Cloud,
Yes.
Councilor Jones Waters,
Yes.
Councilor Dr. McCabe,
Yes.
Councilor Cave,
Yes.
Councilor Johnson,
Yes.
Councilor Francis.
Yes.
The yes from me, the vote is unanimous, the motion carries.
Thanks, Madam President.
Thank you. And it's it for you. Okay, for ordinance and zoning, are there any updates?
Yes, there are some updates. Well, this is actually for the solicitor. Solicitor, I'm not sure if you were able to review an email sent by Director Stokes earlier this evening with respect to some recommendations to a few ordinances. I'll just name a few. The ordinances relating to concrete repair. It looks like there's a time frame in there currently where it says you after a certain date, you no longer can do the work because of the weather. But apparently there's some materials now that will allow you to do concrete work up until the end of November, beginning of December. Also, with respect to grass, the height of the grass right now is currently 10 inches, and Director Stokes is recommending that it be decreased to 6 inches and change the time frame for correction of same from 7 days to 3 days. I believe abandoned vehicles, I believe the police chief is working with you with respect to that, according to this note. Snow removal. He has something about snow removal in the street that needs to be added to the ordinance. He also wants to talk about ordinances relating to Airbnbs in the borough. You already talked about the sale of recreational marijuana. He also indicated that the zoning needs to be reviewed and brought up to date, and there's some recommendations relating to vacant properties. So if you could look into that, once you have an opportunity to review the email, if you could come up with some drafts, that would be greatly appreciated.
Yes, ma'am.
We want to try to be proactive moving forward. So I do appreciate Director Stokes doing that, coming up with those recommendations today. So thank you.
All right, we'll move on to Public Works.
I have a question for the code department, if I may, Madam President.
I'm not sure Mr. Stokes is, he is, okay, yes, thank you.
Director Stokes, you and I spoke on the phone a couple of weeks ago in reference to the grass that's proceeding out of the sidewalks on Rundale.
Yes.
I don't know if anyone has gone out to review what you and I spoke about, but apparently if they did go out, they didn't go back the second time because it's still the same thing. And it's from the beginning of Rundale, basically all the way down to McDade Boulevard. So I'm asking if maybe one of the your code directors could go out, one of your code officers could go out and assess the problem there.
Yes, it actually was. An inspector went out, wrote up violation notices, and gave them a time frame to actually get it done. And it appears they did not follow the directions of the violations that were issued. So we will be issuing citations in reference to what was not completed.
Thank you.
I actually have one other thing too. I have a question for the management, borough management.
Councilor Roll Cloud.
Thank you. With respect to the common driveways, I believe last week, Mr. Nichols, you indicated that you were going to schedule a meeting date so that we can sit down and talk about funds to assist with some repairs of some of the common driveways. Have you come up with a date at this point?
Mr. Nichols. So I'm not sure if there's some technical difficulty, but I'll make sure that he gets back with you with the answer to that question.
Okay.
All right, so Counselor Johnson for Public Works.
I have a consideration for hiring Ricardo Maxey as a full-time labor worker under the Public Works Department beginning on 9/22/21.
Is there a motion?
So moved, Madam President.
Second.
Second.
All right, having been moved and properly seconded, considering this is a personnel matter, we won't have a discussion. I'll proceed with the roll call vote in the order that counselors appear on my screen. Counselor Road Cloud.
Yes.
Counselor Jones Waters. Counselor Jones Waters.
Yes.
Counselor Dr. McCabe. Counselor Dr. McCabe.
Yes, with
Counselor Cave.
reservations.
Counselor Cave.
Yes.
Counselor Johnson.
Yes.
Counselor Francis.
Yes.
So yes from me, that vote is unanimous. The motion carries. All right, Counselor Johnson, any updates since caucus?
I'm going to ask Director Wilkerson if he has a report to share with council and community.
So there was a report submitted by Mr. White. So if there are just any updates or if it stands as submitted at caucus, Mr. Stokes?
There is no updates and it stands as submitted. Thank you.
Okay,
So
all
actually,
right.
so I actually have a question for council, if I may.
Is that Mr. Wilkerson?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Mr. Wilkinson, you're recognized.
Thank you. So I don't know if council had a chance to actually read the probation review and recommendation I had for Ricardo Maxey. But you know, I would,
Mr. Wilkerson,
yes.
we need to have this discussion in executive session. This is not something for the floor.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so, okay. So for public safety, I will ask Chief Paparo.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to go over a few things with the medical marijuana thing. I'm not sure if it came up when Lieutenant Burns was covering for me. I was at a wedding that past week. I spoke with the attorney and the gentleman that's running the property the other day, and I think there may be some miscommunication that has come out, and it might have come from me. Back when I had my Good Evening Yeadon episode, I had tried to get the medical marijuana people to come on because I had the district attorney there to speak about different things, and the medical marijuana thing came up. I wasn't able to get them to come to mine, but I was able to get them to come to the mayor's forum. So I think that may have been misconstrued that they had been invited by Yeadon council members or something. But I spoke with the attorney tonight, and I wanted to confirm. And I asked him point blank. I said, "Is there anyone from Yeadon Borough that you have been in contact with?" And the only individual that he advised me that the property owners and him were involved with was the zoning officer. That they had no relationship with any council members or the mayor or myself included. And if they need to provide something in writing, they can do that. But I did a security survey with the business on, I believe it was Tuesday morning. There are some things that they're going to address to make sure that the property is safe if it continues. And I think everybody needs to also understand that the state comes in and they review the property to make sure that they have conformed with all the requirements for the medical marijuana dispensary rules and regulations that are in the code that the state has. But they want to help out rebuilding the police mini station. I've also spoken to Councilor Cave with a conversation that we had earlier this week with the borough manager about potentially gaining some revenue from the business related to parking in the area. I have a plan in place to address any kind of concerns if it does in fact open after the city reviews it, if they give them the okay to proceed, and it does proceed. I have a plan in place to be able to assist the residents in the area to deal with traffic, parking, and everything else so that the minimal impact will affect the residents as much as possible. But that's all I have for my report and at this time.
Chief, earlier you reported to me something about the substation within it near the facility.
Yeah, the property owner, the new property owner, and the attorney have told me that they want to help basically rebuild that and make it nicer for us. So they're willing to put funds into the police services there. I'm also going to try and convince them to buy another portable camera system, similar to the one that we have. And they're willing to put a lot of effort into being a good neighbor in Yeadon. So, but again, at the end of the day, we can all talk about it, but the state's going to be the one to come in to determine whether or not they're going to be able to officially open or not. They're still building the building. The information that I got on Tuesday was that they potentially will open at the end of the year and or the beginning of next year. But again, that's predicated on the state coming in, reviewing the business, and the things that have to be in place before they can open.
All right. And Chief, can you please confirm for our council and, our residents who are present that there is absolutely no chance that that methadone will be distributed at this site?
Yeah, this is not a methadone clinic. It's a medical marijuana dispensary. You can only get into the business with a medical marijuana card or a medical marijuana caregiver card. I've advised them about the traffic concerns that I have on Church Lane. Just an addendum to the traffic concerns, PennDOT should hopefully within the next week, 2 weeks, should begin repainting and doing different things that I've requested along Church Lane from Church and Baltimore all the way down to the city with new markings, new signage, lights, along that line. But the business is aware that the Church Lane is a high priority problem for me, and I don't want them to contribute to it. So they're looking to assist me in monitoring what's going on, because my people going down one ways like they're doing now with the construction, but they are willing to put some money into Yeadon to help us make sure that it doesn't impact the residents as much as possible. But it's not methadone in any way, shape, or form. It's not going to be bringing in people that are on heroin and stuff like that. And I make this loud and clear to everybody. I'm not going to tolerate people smoking in the lot, rolling joints in the lot, doing anything in the lot, especially when the kids are going home from school and so forth. And just their neighbors sitting outside. I want you to sit out on your front porch and not have a problem with this dispensary. So I'll be on top of it from day one.
All right.
And
Thank you.
Madam President, can I just piggyback on that? I did some research.
Yes, Mr. Good.
There's absolutely no way possible under the health code to have any other medical business inside of this medical marijuana dispensary. So you can't do methadone, you can't even do Tylenol. And I think the chief's research will also show that.
That is correct. That is correct.
All right. Thank you,
I
Mr.
have a question.
All right. So first, I'm going to recognize Councilor Jones Waters. Then I'll recognize Councilor Roadcloud. Councilor Jones Waters.
Okay. So my question and concerns that was mentioned to me by residents was that of the health bill, by the way, was mentioned that yes, a marijuana dispensary, should the marijuana dispensary come here, that all they have to do then, if they want to sell the methadone, is put in an application for it because the marijuana dispensary was approved. So how can you say exactly that they won't do that? You know what I mean? If it's state regulated and they couldn't put in that application, how can you guarantee that they won't do that?
Mr. Gibbs, can you please answer the question that you just answered?
The health code prohibits it now. They're not allowed under the Medical Marijuana Act, under the health code, to have any other medical businesses inside that premises. And since I came up earlier, I reviewed most of the ones around the state. No one has that business model.
That's it, that's in the law.
It's
in the law.
prohibited. So the answer is that it's prohibited. It's against the law. And
Correct.
that's how we can assure that it won't happen. Counselor Roadcloud?
Yes, well, I'm gonna just piggyback a little bit on that question. And I understand that the medical marijuana dispensary cannot sell the methadone or whatever in that facility. However, what do we have in place, if anything, that would prohibit a business from coming in and opening a methadone clinic in that area?
All right, so that would be a matter that we can discuss at one of our caucus meetings. It's not something that's on this agenda, or our caucus meetings are when we have these discussions. So if you want to send that question out to our solicitor and our chief, and we can have discussions about that at our caucus meeting.
Well, wouldn't that fall under codes as well? I mean, I'm asking what type of ordinances, zoning do we have in place right now? Are methadone clinics considered pharmacies or whatever, or a healthcare facility that will also be allowed to go there with our existing zoning ordinances?
So again, Councilor Rothschild, those are
all I'm
none of us
asking,
here.
I'm just asking a question. That's all I'm
I
asking.
understand, and
and
I understand your question. However, this is not something that was on our agenda. This is, and none of us have the zoning or code book memorized from beginning to end. So this is something that we think
the zoning officer on the line. We have him here.
Counselor Roadcloud, you're out of order. And
Okay,
we're gonna
I got
ask
one more
that you remain
question.
in order.
I got one more question.
Counselor Roadcloud, you're out of
one
order.
more question.
I'm still speaking though. So my response is that your question is important and we would like to make sure that it is addressed, but it'll be addressed at our caucus meeting. So we're gonna ask that our solicitor, as well as Mr. Stokes, review what our ordinances are with regard to methadone clinics. You have one more question for the chief.
Yeah, I think it is one more question for the chief. Chief, I missed that whole thing you said about some sort of agreement with respect to parking. I missed that.
Now, one of the things that I spoke about to the owners and the attorney was, one of the concerns I have is with the Borough's lot there, where you got to pay to park, that you're going to have people that are going to want to park on Church Lane and also on Gunther. So my suggestion was, when I spoke to them, or spoke to I believe it was the borough manager and Councilor Cave earlier this week, was for the borough to come up with an ordinance for permit parking, for resident parking on Gunther and Church Lane, so that if you don't have the sticker in your window, we can put, resident parking only, so that we don't have people coming there to go to the dispensary parking in front of a resident's property. And other signage. I'm looking to get the dispensary to pay for any additional signs that we may need. For instance, like a no left-hand turn sign coming out of the dispensary parking lot, or the drive-through rather. Because initially I wasn't aware they were going to do a drive-through now, and they have a drive-through being set up. So I don't want people coming out making a left-hand turn right there with Gunther, because you already got the problems dealing with people coming out of Gunther to begin with. So some of the things will have to be ordinances that are going to have to come up. And again, related to like permanent parking, what we do with like Arbor, Laurel, Holly Road, example, over by SEPTA and stuff like that. So we're going to need ordinances to protect the residents in that area. But we have time, in my opinion, because like I said, it's not going to be opening, at least they're saying, not till the end of the year, most likely the beginning of next year. So we're going to have time to put an ordinance together to get permanent parking to the residents.
Will the permit parking be, will there be a fee for the permit parking?
No, there's no fee for the resident.
Okay, and as far as the parking lot is concerned?
The parking lot, my suggestion when I spoke to Councilor Cave and the borough manager the other day was to charge the, like you go into some places and they'll put little signs up saying for the, this, for that store. We put something up there, but we charge, and I threw out $100,000 a year to the marijuana dispensary, but they pay $100,000 for parking. But again, that's going to be up to you guys to decide that when you discuss that in executive sessions.
Okay. Oh, and one more, I'm sorry, just one more. It's more like a concern. You were talking about people traveling the wrong way on the street. Apparently there's some issues on the 600 block of Fern Street and the 600 block of South Long Acre, where people are bucking traffic because they're going the wrong way. Is it a possibility that maybe you can just take a look at the area and see maybe if signs would probably help, if you erect some signs saying, you can't turn down this street or whatever. Yeah, I'm sure you saw some film that was posted on Nextdoor, right, showing the cars doing that.
Yeah, we're also having problems, people turning up Cypress and turning up Darnell the wrong way.
Right.
So I've actually stopped a few people there myself. The kicker for this, 90% of the people we're stopping are all Yeadon residents, so they should know better. But I do have I actually just got some traffic enforcement grants that just came in. So I'm actually detailing officers to those areas that you just spoke about, including Darnell and Cypress. If you turn up Cypress, you'll notice I put some cones out there. Public Works has been helping me put cones and barricades up at different spots in an effort to try and deter it. The problem is, you stop one car and the next thing you know, somebody's doing it behind you going up the next street. So we're trying to do it, but sometimes I wish I could be God and I could put my hand all over the place, but I'm not God. Yeah, so we're doing the best we can based on what we have.
Okay, great.
But we are aware of it.
Okay.
I have a question for the chief.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Chief. So I have two questions. Are you aware that with bringing a dispensary to this borough, that their proceeds, some of their proceeds are supposed to go to public safety? That's one question. The other question is, okay, go ahead. You can answer.
I was going to say I don't know about that. I would hope that something comes in, but that's outside of my knowledge. I don't know about that.
Okay. The other question is with in reference to the parking area that the borough owns. People have the parking permits already in that parking lot. So you're saying that they will have to move, or they can continue to keep their parking permits there, or what? I was a little confused with that.
Well, one of the things, there are some people that pay, I believe it's either a monthly fee or a 6-month fee to have a permit to be able to park in there. Again, that would be something that council would have to address when they look at, because one of the other things that we talked about the other day, and I'm assuming it's going to come up in your next executive sessions, is going to be the parking fees, whether or not those fees would have to be changed or updated. But those have permits to park in there now, they ultimately are not going to be affected with the dispensary, because the dispensary is going to have to deal with their own issues related to parking with people coming in.
All right. Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
We will move on to our recreation. Mr. Francis?
Yes. Good evening, Madam President. Good evening, everyone. Madam President, please accept my verbal report as stated at caucus. But as stated before, we like to acknowledge our own family. And Mr. Roy Hunter, Elmore Hunter, broke the barriers as he became the first Black student athlete to compete in track and field in the Atlantic Coast Conference while at Maryland during the 1964-1965 academic year. Hunter went on to earn All-American honors as a key member of the 440-yard relay team that finished sixth in the nation in 1967. So honor to Mr. Roy Hunter. And Madam President, if you don't mind, I'd like to say one thing. I'd like to say thank you, Chief, for your work that you're doing right now as far as that dispensary. And Mr. Gibbs, thank you for working on and doing research to see whether the zoning area can be changed. That's all I have to say, Madam President.
Thanks,
Thank
John.
you, Vice President Francis. We appreciate your help.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
All right, without further ado, I'd like a motion for adjournment.
I have one more question before we do that. Actually, yeah, this is with respect to, this is for the solicitor, with respect to business tax. Is there any way you can research with respect to bringing business tax to Yeadon Borough?
I have to research that, ma'am. I've been researching that every year since I've been a solicitor here, and state law prohibits you from enacting a business tax.
Okay, we'll talk more offline.
Can we have a motion to adjourn?
So move, Madam President.
Is there a second? Thank you. Thank you all for coming out this evening. Have a great night. Goodbye.
Good evening.